What's going on, guys? I'm Chrissy Whispers, and tonight we're going to be going over Stellar Crown's top 10 cards and see how the prices have adjusted in the past month since they've released. So we're going to flip the camera around and we're going to get right into it. Alright, guys, so here we are. First card is going to be the Terapagos EX Special Illustration Rare. TCG Direct has it listed for $135, but if you go scroll down near mint with shipping included, you can get this card for about $110. Now, a month ago, shortly after the card came out, the card was selling for about $150. So it's down about $25 to $35 since the release of the set. But there's not that many listings. There's only 35 listings without photos. So I do expect this card to at least stay at this price range. I don't think it's going to drop much more. If anything, I think it might start going up in price. I could be wrong, of course, but there aren't many listings, and it's already at a price point that people are going to want to chase it and obtain it. So I do think that the Terapagos EX Special Illustration Rare does have a chance to go up in price, such as the Greninja. However, not as drastically, because I do believe people love Greninja, whereas Terapagos is more of a new Pokemon. I myself don't really care for Terapagos. I have no connection to Terapagos, but it is a pretty decent card, pretty decent looking card, I guess. I don't love it, but it's over $100. People start the FOMO. People look at the Greninja, start making comparisons for the top hit card in the set, and we'll see what happens. I personally will not be buying this card. I don't really care for it, but I don't think it's going to go down too much more from this point. So I think this card is a pretty decent price to buy it at. Not many listings, so let's move on. The next card on the list is going to be the Lacy Special Illustration Rare. Coming out the gate, this card was pre-selling for about $120. It's already down just a month later, down to $41, $39.99 for the lowest listing without photos. It also has 126 listings, which in comparison to the Terapagos EX, that's quite a bit. It's more than 4 times the amount of listings. I don't personally love trainers. I like some trainers. I don't think this card is all that based on face appeal. I do suspect this card might continue to come down. I see it sitting at like 15, $20 personally. It is a special illustration rare though, so we don't really know. Again, trying to predict the price of a card is really just a guessing game. We could do our best to predict, but with something that's only been out for a month and we don't know what's going to happen. It is hard, and these cards can be volatile. But I do personally think that the Lacy card is going to continue to come down because, again, there are a lot of listings for it. The next card on the list is going to be the Squirtle Illustration Rare. Now, the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur Illustration Rares, to me, in my opinion, are the two star cards for the set. Not because they're 151 starters, but because of the little collection you get between the Charmander promo card and the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur. I just think the 3 cards together makes a nice collection all in itself. So for those reasons, I think that this and the next card are the star cards. But when you come down to the Squirtle and you look at the graph, first of all, it's got less cards listed than Lacy. By 50 about. Almost 50 less listings for this card in comparison to the next most expensive card. The graph looks like it's just coming straight down, like that looks horrible, and on a percentage wise it kind of is, but it's only from pre-selling prices to now, the card's only down like $8-9. I don't think this card came down nearly as much. It is an illustration rare. The only 2 cards that are more expensive than this card are special illustration rares, so they should be harder to hit. This has only got 77 listings. The card is beautiful. It's a 151 starter, and people simp over this type of shit. I believe that this card will recover and go back up. I think that the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur, over enough time, will be the 2 most expensive cards in the set. By a long shot. The Terapagos might hold out just because you know, it is going to be harder to hit, being that special illustration rare and like the top tier kind, where like almost like the Moonbreon, where you can hit other special illustration rares on your way there, but you're not going to get that one type of deal. I think this card has great potential to go up in price, and I'm really just going to repeat the same exact thing for the next card on the list. I already talked about it, but this is the Bulbasaur. I also believe that this card is going to be one of the most expensive cards. Now, admittedly, it did take a bigger dip than the Squirtle did, but that could just be something as simple as it's easier to hit or people like Squirtle more. I think these cards are going to be worth about the same price through all of time, because I think when somebody buys the Bulbasaur or the Squirtle, or they already have the Charmander, I don't think anybody is just going to want to have just one of the three or two of the three. I think all three of these cards are going to be bought in unison. So I even, for those reasons, I think that the Charmander promo is going to just keep going up in price. I don't think it'll reach this because it is a promo card, so I don't think it's ever going to be like a $30, $40 card so fast like these cards are. But I think the three of those cards are going to be bought in unison at one time. So I think the Charmander card will continue to rise in price, but the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur are definitely two cards to really keep your eye on, because I see these things just going up. I got to be honest with you. Only 87 listings on this card as well. Both of them less than the special illustration rare Lacy. So that's interesting to see. All right, so halfway through, we're looking at the Galvantula EX, the fifth most expensive card in the set, and in my opinion, better looking than the Terapagos EX. Pre-selling for about $52. You could buy it now from direct for about $35. And the lowest listing for a seller without photos is going to be about $29. In my opinion, I think this card is more appealing than the Terapagos EX. I like this card because it does have quite a few listings. Like, it's got 68 listings. All three of these cards have not a lot of listings. And that does affect the market. This card did take a pretty big drop from 52. It's down about 40%. That's pretty significant. However, I think this card is better looking than the Terapagos, and they are both special illustration rares. It'd be a real shame to see a card as pretty as this just continue to go down in price. So for those reasons, I hope to see it go up. I don't know why I'm like rooting for Galvantula, but I do think it's a nice looking card. And you know what? If it stays cheap, everybody could have a copy, so that's not a bad thing either. But again, I don't think it will remain as cheap, because again, for the same reasons as the others, not a lot of listings, pretty nice looking card, and it is a special illustration rare. So it's got some pretty good things going for it, at least from a graph, you know, looking at a whole page. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Galvantula EX as well. The first card of the second half of this list is going to be the Hydrapple EX. Between the Hydrapple, the Terapagos, and the Galvantula, this is a card that I just don't even know what to think when I'm looking at it. I don't hate Hydrapple. I don't love Hydrapple. I just don't know what to think when I'm looking at the card. Let's take a look. Not a lot of listings. 61 listings as well. And it was pre-selling for about 67, and it's down to about 31. So, like the Galvantula, it is down quite a bit, but there aren't a lot of listings. However, the Galvantula and the Terapagos kind of have like that bright, feel-good colors on it, and this is just kind of a darker card and weird. Whatever. I don't love the card. I'm not going to sit here and rip it to shreds. Based on my instant opinion, based on looking at it, it's not worth $35. I would see this card coming down. This is going to be like a Skuntank. This is such a weird looking card. I'm sorry. I don't like this card. It would be like the Skuntank alternate art. You know, everybody has pulled an alternate art from that set, but it wasn't the Moonbreon. It was probably the Skuntank. So, you know, this might be one of those cards. Could say the same thing about the Galvantula. You know, we'll see what's going on with this in a couple months, but I think this card is going to continue to go down, unlike the others. I think this and the Lacy are the two cards that are going to be going down in price so far. The next card on the list is going to be the Doxpin EX. Um, kind of a weird card. Uh, he is chilling. I mean, I'm digging the environment. He's got some pie. He's got some jellies. He's got some cakes in front of him. Enjoying himself. Whoa, 25 listings. That's the most scarce card that we've seen so far. This card has just done its thing. So it dipped a little bit. It halved in price. I guess people were like, wow, this card's like kind of gorgeous. Really cute. It is a cute card, but it's pretty much selling for what it was pre-selling for. That's quite incredible. And there's not a lot of listings. This card is probably gonna go up in price unless somebody was buying it out. I'm not gonna sit here and scream manipulation. I don't really give a shit about those type of things. But it is a cute card. There are not a lot of listings. I would imagine this card does go up. I mean, I feel like it's got to go up with that few listings. So we'll see what happens. That's quite an impressive graph. It's just 2% off. That's incredible. Briar is the next card. This card is actually beautiful. I don't recall having seen this before. I think this card is far superior to the Lacy card. Both of them are special illustration rares. This has got like half the listings. Why is this card so cheap? It's pre-selling at about $50, and we're looking at about 30 bucks, 28 bucks, 30 bucks. Down about 40%, but that's a really nice looking card. Again, superior to the Lacy. This should be one of the top 5 most expensive cards, probably more than the Galvantula and the Lacy. Honestly, probably even possibly close to the Squirrel and the Bulbasaur. I know they're all pretty close in price, but I guess just to see it on a tab list from most expensive to cheapest, it's kind of weird to see it this far down. I think this is probably one of the best looking cards in the set. Shit, probably third best looking card in the set. That card's probably going to be a supporter that goes up. God forbid, I don't know if this guy is playable, but if this thing becomes playable, forget it. You can use this card only if your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards, so it's a closer. During this turn, if your opponent's active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an attack, use your Terra Pokemon. This is a closer. So you're telling me if somebody's got 2, I don't know the game, but when you get all the prize cards, you win, I believe. So if he's got 2 prize cards, and you knock out their Pokemon with the Terra Pokemon, instead of taking 1 prize card, you just finish them? That's kind of cool. I don't know if it's competitively viable, but I see this card going up in price. It's beautiful. I don't know the game, but I feel like that could become competitive. I don't see why that wouldn't be. That sounds pretty fucking good. The next card on the list is going to be the Terapagos EX. What does it look like on the screen? I'm not even going to talk about this card. I'm going to skip that card. That card is so fucking ugly. I don't even want to talk about it. What am I even looking at? It's just a glob. Terrible. Last card on the list is going to be Area Zero Underdepths. That reminds me of Path to the Peak, maybe? I feel like Path to the Peak has a very similar. I could be wrong. Pre-selling $45 down to $18. I'm gonna assume this card is not competitive. $16, $16. Pretty cheap card. This card's probably gonna be just another gold card, like the Terapagos EX. It's gonna be just another gold card that probably sits between the $8 and $15 range. You know, a lot of them aren't too expensive, although the gold cards of this Scarlet Violet era do seem to some degree, in my opinion, are better than the Sword and Shield. There were quite a few that I did like. I didn't really like too many of the gold cards from Sword and Shield personally, but some of these are not bad. This one's not terrible. I mean, it just doesn't really serve a purpose. It's just Stadium. So if you don't play, I guess you only would buy it to complete a master set. So I don't see this card being this card's probably going to go down a couple more bucks, unfortunately. How many listings? 88 listings. Really not crazy. But yeah, this card's probably going to come down in price, in my opinion. So that's going to wrap this up. Those are the top 9 cards because Thropicos EX Secret Rare. I don't even want to talk about it. What is it? It's just a funky thing to look at. $40 to $20. Well, that's gonna wrap it up. Thanks for stopping by. That was my 1 month update for Stellar Crown. I do like to watch these cards, see how they perform right off the bat. It is quite interesting to see the volatility. It is quite interesting to see the volatility of these cards within the first couple of weeks of them coming out. So, you know, I think this card right here is gonna be the big one. This is a pretty big card. See you guys next week. Consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. I'm out.